At the beginning of the movie, we meet Jimmy Logan, a once famous football player and a caring father. He excitedly breaks down the lyrics of his favorite John Denver song, Country Roads, to his wide-eyed daughter Sadie. He was once a skilled football player, but a foot injury cut short his promising career. Now he makes a living by repairing sinkholes at a construction site. Jimmy's phone often loses signal because he can't afford reliable cell service. He stays content with what he has and turns down financial help, even when it comes from his ex-wife. Jimmy's daughter Sadie is a clever and gifted child who is getting ready to compete in a beauty pageant. Though he is dedicated and hardworking, he loses his job due to his limp. Despite this setback, he remains committed to fulfilling his role as a father. One day, he stops by the salon owned by his sister Mellie to pick up his daughter for her dance practice in Charleston. But when he arrives, he learns that the practice actually took place the day before. After the mix-up, he heads to his ex-wife Bobbie Jo's home. She now lives in a large mansion with her wealthy new husband and their twin sons. Jimmy says sorry for the confusion about the date and questions her about the for sale sign outside the house. Bobbie Jo has full custody of Sadie and is planning to move across the state to a new town for her husband's job. This infuriates Jimmy, as he doesn't want his daughter to be so far away. He realizes he needs to make more money, either to hire a lawyer or to move closer to his daughter once they relocate. Jimmy also has a brother named Clyde, a war veteran. Clyde served in the Iraq War but tragically lost his arm just before reaching the airport on his way back. Now he runs a bar in town. While Jimmy and Clyde are in the middle of a disagreement, Max, a NASCAR team owner, and two of his friends walk into the bar for a drink. Max is an aspiring influencer who feels compelled to document every moment. He makes an inappropriate comment about Clyde's disability, which frustrates Jimmy. A physical altercation breaks out between Jimmy and Max along with his friends, while Clyde takes matters into his own hands by setting Max's car on fire. As they walk away, Jimmy says the word cauliflower, a code word they share between them. The next morning, Jimmy prepares Clyde's favorite breakfast. The two discuss the code word exchanged the night before. It's a risky word, as the last time it was used, Clyde ended up spending 6 months in jail. Jimmy has already come up with the entire plan, and begins to share the details with his brother. It turns out that while working as a miner fixing sinkholes, Jimmy stumbled upon the highly secure money storage system used by NASCAR. His plan is to rob the biggest event in the United States, a daring heist that could change everything. The money is transported through secure pneumatic tube tunnels directly to a high-security bank vault. To get to the cash, they would need to blow open the vault, a job that only one person can do. Joe Bang. The brothers visit Joe Bang, who is currently serving time for blowing up a bank vault. Although Joe is amused by the offer, he declines, pointing out that he's already behind bars. Besides, he has a stash of money saved up for when he gets out, so he doesn't really need the extra cash. Unfortunately for Joe, one of his not-so-bright brothers let it slip to his wife, who then took off with all the saved money. Joe agrees to join the heist after Jimmy reveals that the sensors around the Carvin Hill vault are currently deactivated. However, Joe has one condition: his brothers, Fishy and Sam, must be included in the plan too. At the Easter fair, the Logan brothers meet with the Bang brothers and share only the basics of the plan. Fishy and Sam agree to help. As part of the plan, Clyde crashes into a convenience store at a gas station. He is immediately arrested, and the judge sentences him to 90 days in prison. As planned, Joe and Clyde begin working together on the project from inside the prison. Meanwhile, Jimmy continues being a devoted father to Sadie, by taking her to the salon and helping her apply self-tanner. One day, Jimmy is spotted by a healthcare worker named Sylvia, who was once his junior in school. She notices a bad open wound on his face and offers to give him a tetanus shot. Since Jimmy is out of work, he can't afford to pay for it. Sylvia assures him that it's free, as the organization is funded by donations from wealthy individuals. Mellie is also assisting her brother Jimmy with the heist, ensuring everything goes smoothly. With her deep knowledge of cars and trucks, she provides Clyde with the exact measurements for the exhaust covers on a prison truck that departs the facility daily. Meanwhile, Joe and Clyde begin working on the woodwork needed for the plan. For the next phase, Jimmy needs the blueprints of the sinkholes beneath the NASCAR track. He breaks into his former workplace and steals the plans. As he's leaving, he runs into his old boss, who admits he felt guilty about letting Jimmy go. His boss informs him that the sinkhole repairs are nearly finished, and that the crew will be relocating to a new site soon. This throws a major wrench into Jimmy's robbery plan. They now have to move the heist up by a week, which happens to be during the Coca-Cola 600, the biggest and busiest race of the season. This makes the job significantly more difficult to pull off. He orders Mellie to get started on finding which vent leads to the bank vault beneath the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Mellie sends a birthday cake to CMS employee Gleema. Gleema is taken aback by the unexpected gift, but without giving it much thought, she joins her colleagues in celebrating. Meanwhile, Fishy and Sam release a swarm of color-coded cockroaches, which are drawn to the birthday cake. The next day, the employees are terrified when they see the cockroaches inside the office. They immediately call pest control to clean up the mess. Seizing the opportunity, Fishy and Sam slip into the office. They clean up the area while also taking all the information they need for the heist. With everything under control and meticulously planned, it's time for them to execute the heist flawlessly. At last, race day arrives. Every detail must go according to plan and happen on schedule. To start the plan, Joe and Clyde must break out of Monroe Correctional Facility during lunchtime. The warden is making his rounds through the canteen when Joe pretends to feel unwell and starts vomiting all over the place. He's quickly rushed to the infirmary for medical attention. Once there, Joe tells the nurse he needs to use the toilet. The nurse offers to escort him, but he hesitates, unwilling to accept her help. That's when Clyde steps in, offering to take Joe instead. Back in the canteen, an inmate named Naaman starts a fight with another prisoner, following instructions from Joe and Clyde. This leads the warden to declare a code red, locking down all doors in the facility. The officers try to call for backup, but the warden, being prideful and stubborn, refuses any outside assistance. Confident in his control over the facility, the warden insists he can handle the situation himself. This gives Joe and Clyde the perfect chance to escape. They use the wooden exhaust covers they built earlier to slip out of the facility unnoticed. Meanwhile, at the race, Fishy and Sam set off an explosive that disables all the card machines, forcing vendors to accept only cash. With cash pouring in rapidly, employees are told to keep sending the money to the vault via the pneumatic tube system without counting it. Meanwhile, across town, Mellie arrives at the Miss Pretty West Virginia pageant to support Sadie and Bobbie Jo on Sadie's big day. After helping her nervous niece get settled, Mellie sneaks away with Bobbie Jo's husband's brand new unreleased Ford V8 to play her part in the heist. Mellie heads to the gas station where the prison truck routinely stops to pick up Clyde and Joe. She brings them a change of clothes to avoid suspicion, along with Clyde's prosthetic arm. The three then drive to the Coca-Cola 600. After grabbing some beers and gummy bears, Clyde and Joe make their way to the sinkhole, where Jimmy is already waiting for them. Clyde helps Joe slide down a garbage chute that leads straight to the sinkhole. Once there, Jimmy and Joe mix bleach, gummy bears, and low-sodium salt to create an explosive, much to the surprise of the Logan brothers, who expected him to use traditional dynamite. After giving them a crash course in chemistry, Joe finally sends the homemade explosive down the tunnel using one of the empty pneumatic capsules. After one comically failed try, the explosive finally does the trick, and the plan starts coming together. The blast works perfectly, but smoke begins pouring out of the other tubes and into the vendor stalls. Jimmy quickly hooks up a large vacuum system to the tubes, sucking the cash out of the vault. In the process, Joe accidentally vacuums up Clyde's prosthetic arm, causing Clyde to panic and scramble to find it. Clyde starts to worry that losing his arm could tie him to the robbery, but Jimmy reassures him and promises to recover it. Jimmy keeps loading cash into large trash bags while Fishy and Sam transport the bags from the sinkhole to Jimmy's truck. However, they run into trouble when the gate won't open on their way out. Noticing the delay, Joe steps out to check on them and attempts to force the gate open himself. The blast inside the vault causes smoke to billow out of the tubes across various stalls during the race. One of the vendors alerts headquarters, prompting them to dispatch 2 security guards to investigate. As they search, the guards encounter Fishy, Sam and Jimmy, but none of them provide a convincing explanation. Spotting smoke seeping from behind a door, the guards cautiously break it open to see what's inside. On the other side of the door is Earl, a friend of the Logan brothers, casually smoking during his 20-minute break. The annoyed guards order him to put out the cigarette and return to work immediately. Believing his smoke is the source of the issue, they end their investigation and walk away. Meanwhile, the Bang brothers have been struggling to get the door open. After a moment, Jimmy arrives, points out that the lock is jammed, and helps them unlock it with ease. Fishy and Sam exit the sinkhole, load up Jimmy's truck with the bags of cash, and drive away. Meanwhile, at the Coca-Cola 600, Max, the same guy from the bar, has a new NASCAR driver named Dayton White. Dayton is a health-obsessed man who treats his body like a temple, and avoids eating anything artificial. Max, the owner of an energy drink company, pressures his star driver Dayton to drink his product before the race, despite Dayton's objections. Max reminds him it's in his contract. Dayton has returned to NASCAR after a few months off, during which he adopted a strict, healthy diet. The sugar in the energy drink takes a toll on Dayton, causing his energy to plummet. He spins out of control and crashes into a barricade, knocking himself out of the race. After the crash, Max and Dayton have a heated argument over Dayton's contract with Max's company. As Clyde and Joe approach, Max recognizes Clyde from the bar, and a fight quickly breaks out between them. Meanwhile, Jimmy slips away from the race arena, carefully discarding his cap and jacket to blend in. He ensures that the money is securely packed in his truck before leaving. Around the 200th lap, Norman and the other inmates, who have successfully taken 4 police guards hostage and triggered a riot, set a fire in the canteen. This forces the prideful warden to call in the fire department. Clyde and Joe, disguised as firefighters, slip into the correctional facility, change back into their original clothes, and return to their positions to avoid drawing any attention. Meanwhile, Mellie arrives just in time to help Sadie prepare for her talent show. Sadie asks for her father, but Mellie has no idea where Jimmy is. On the stage, Sadie is ready to perform Umbrella by Rihanna. As Sadie looks out into the audience from the stage, she spots her father walking in. Seeing him there, she switches to singing his favorite song, Country Roads, instead. Her performance moves him to tears. Later, surprisingly, Jimmy anonymously contacts the police and tips them off about the stolen NASCAR money. The Charlotte Motor Speedway recovers most of the stolen money and claims insurance for the rest, which appears to be a win for them. Once Clyde is released from prison, he moves in with his sister Mellie. The siblings cut ties with Jimmy, who relocates to another state to be closer to his daughter. Joe is enraged by the failure of the plan, and the FBI has taken control of the investigation into the NASCAR money theft. Special Agent Sarah Grayson arrives at the vault with her partner to investigate the crime scene. She is also contacted by Max, who insists he saw Clyde and Joe on the day of the race. Although Max's claim might hold some weight, Grayson believes it could just be a personal vendetta, and continues her investigation for 6 months, trying to uncover who was behind the heist. Despite her efforts, there are no solid leads. With the truck being stolen, she starts suspecting the Logan brothers, but both have airtight alibis. Eventually, CMS instructs Grayson to cease working on the case, as they've recovered all their money. When she questions how much was stolen and how much was returned, CMS admits they never counted the exact amount, but confirms that the insurance covered the entire loss. Soon after, the FBI drops the case. Unbeknownst to them, Jimmy secretly distributes the rightful payouts to his team, keeping the stolen money from NASCAR. He knew they had no way of knowing the exact amount that was taken. Sylvia receives an envelope filled with cash for her medical facility, recognizing it as a gift from Jimmy by the Band-Aid used to seal the envelope. Grateful, she and Jimmy begin dating. In the following scene, the Logan brothers, Mellie, Sylvia and Joe, are seen hanging out at Clyde's bar. The group reminisces about their plan, which successfully moved a large sum of money to a secure location, all while they called in the rest to the police. Mellie had quietly slipped into the sinkhole while the Bang brothers were preoccupied with the locked gate. Jimmy had deliberately locked the side gate to keep the Bang brothers occupied while Mellie worked. She stuffed the bags of cash into a garbage disposal system, and Earl drove the truck toward the dumping grounds. Meanwhile, Jimmy's phone service had been cut off due to unpaid bills, but it remained active long enough for the FBI to tap his phone. Once his service went off, he hurried to the disposal ground to retrieve the cash. The gang gathers at Clyde's bar, enjoying shots and sharing a laugh about their successful heist. There, Special Agent Grayson watches the group from a distance, her suspicion growing stronger.